Welcome to another episode of Schmoedown Night in Canada. It's your producer, Dave, and I am joined by my man, Soda, to break down the latest Schmoedown Throwdown. Soda, how you doing tonight?
I'm very well rested after an unexpectedly long nap, and I'm ready to talk about the Finstock exchange exploding, potentially.
Yes, and before we get to that, make sure that you subscribe to Schmoes of the North on YouTube. We are pushing towards 100 subscribers. Like this video, comment about it, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your cat. I don't know if cats have YouTube accounts and can subscribe, but I'd like them to.
Well, hey, I know they have Twitter accounts, so anything's possible.
Anything's possible. So we had two fantastic matches, and I know we were talking offline. We had a lot to talk about the title match, but we had another match before that. The Warfather versus the Machine. What were your thoughts?
The War Daddy. You know what? I'm happy. I know. You can't think that now. It's awesome. I love that nickname. No, you know what? I'm happy for Janine. She finally got a win in a singles match of any form. I was so happy for her. And the Warfather, man, still a freaking character. Like, he has to be one of my favorite characters, right up there with Lon for me, for just how entertaining he is. Because I love it so much. The shower line made me laugh.
Shower time is private time. And yeah, you know what? You're in maybe the saddest year of movie trivia Schmoedown, not just because of the pandemic, but also because of the stink lack of wild berries. The Warfather, War Daddy, is such a welcome presence that just I don't care if he goes, like, he's 1-1 now. I don't care if he goes 1-7. This guy's got to keep playing. I love him.
He has to be involved in some form or capacity. I think it was Daniel that mentioned in the thing in our chat that he wants Warfather to be a manager.
He did, and I actually think that would be if he hadn't just started playing, I think that would be a really good choice. Bring a similar R&B energy, I think. That bombastic
one better.
Energy.
I got one better. Color commentary.
Okay. Yeah, if we ever get back into the studio, because I think for the most part online it's going to be Christian and Mark.
Yeah.
But if we get back into studio, I would love to see him calling a match. I think it would be fantastic.
If Ken wasn't the manager, Ken and War Daddy as the call duo. Could you imagine?
Oh my God, I can, and I'm loving it. Now, before we get into it, I gotta say, one of my favorite bits about the Warfather, and we're talking a lot about his personality because there's not a lot to talk about in terms of trivia for him. I love his relationship with Ellis. I love it so much. I love War Son. That's the match when we get back into not the match. That's the calling duo I want to see, because I want to see him with his big hammer and just give him a little ball peen hammer or something.
Yeah. Oh man. Please go back into studio soon.
Well, we got some issues out there in the world right now, so
I know California is burning in more ways than one.
Yeah. Okay. So this match really is the battle of the bottom in a lot of ways, with the Burning Brooks and the Usual Suspects. And I think it meant a lot to both of these competitors coming into it. Did you have a favorite on your way?
Yeah, it was Janine. Because, after seeing Warfather compete, I think he's better at the character work than he is at the trivia, to be honest. And Janine was due. She was due. After having such a rough year of coming so close, she was due for a win. And sometimes all it takes is the easier matches to get your foot in the door. But I think she's got one win. All right, let's keep going for two and whatnot.
Yeah, I really hope that we get some kind of like an undercard gauntlet where we get a lot more of these low-ranked competitors building up their records and getting matches who didn't get a chance to shine in the singles tournament or the teams tournament or the IG tournament. So that we have a bunch of new, not contenders, but potential people to play some really good matches at the beginning of next season. Like, I'd love to see RB3 get back into the ring in one of these undercards.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm 100% with you. And really, Janine just needed that spark. And I hope that this match, this TKO, was the spark to finally launch her in, so she can actually reach the level of hype that everyone has been giving her. Because she's got it in her. You know, she's got it in her. It's just she needed that spark, and I hope it is.
That has been apparent since her first matches against like Emma Fyfe and Bonnie Somerville way back in the day. Her skill has never been in question. She just has gotten really unlucky with having to play some just dominant forces in the league.
Yeah. And, everyone was saying how Chance was always, the one that he just lost because he was facing top tier talent. Janine was the original. That's been Janine's issue essentially since the beginning. Is she's played well, but she's lost against such top tier talent.
Yeah. And this match, you can tell that it took her a little bit to get back into it. Missing a couple questions right there at the beginning, but a pretty solid showing in the first round. 6 points in the first round. That's average, and I really think it was just a matter of getting back into the rhythm, because I didn't realize, maybe it's because I'm just so used to seeing Janine play and being involved. This is only her third match of the year, and her second singles.
Yeah. Yeah, she also played, because she played in the Inner Geekdom tournament, did she not?
But she lost in the first round against Humphreys. Yeah. She had that game against Riley back in the before times.
Yep.
And then
the before times
match. And then she had the Humphrey match, and then we haven't seen her. And when she wasn't in the singles tournament, and when Andrew Guy was rumored and now confirmed to be teamed with Ethan Irwin, I thought it really sucks that we're not going to get to see a lot more of Janine. And I think she thought that as well. And she said that in her post game, where she might have been a little rusty because she thought her season was done.
Yeah.
But once she got back into it, it was the Janine. It was the queen that was promised all those years ago.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And like I said, I hope we can see this Janine moving forward.
Yeah, and I really think we will. Like, not to say that I think she's going to just start TKOing everybody, but the level of confidence a win like this can give you is very, very impressive. And she got to show her strengths in a lot of different different areas coming into the second round.
Audrey Hepburn, are you kidding me? Swept the second round?
That's insane to me, because that is Audrey Hepburn, obviously a more classical actress. So being able to nail those categories, or just completely run through, because she got the full 8 points, I believe, correct?
Yeah, she swept it. I don't think she went to multiple choice once.
Yeah, she did. Being able to claim Audrey Hepburn as a strength and just put it on the wheel in future matches is such a scary thing for so many of the top two. Because I think putting that on the wheel against someone like Kalinowski or Bateman or Paul Oyama, I think it could really rattle them and be a big deterrent, because we've seen classical films push them back in the past.
Yeah, and there aren't many competitors who you could say their oeuvre, as you were, is classical films. Like, I would say Bibiani is definitely one of them who probably wouldn't have an issue with that. Now, granted, Bibbs is good at practically everything. Maybe you know what? Maybe the kid too. You never know. That might be because we saw how well he did with classics. That might be one that might be up his alley too. Because Audrey Hepburn is one of those like iconic movie actresses that, if you like rom-coms, which we all know Janine does, it makes sense that she loves Audrey Hepburn, because that's essentially what Audrey Hepburn was mostly known for, like Breakfast at Tiffany's and Roman Holiday and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Audrey Hepburn, though, not the only strength that she got to put on display here, because getting Opponent's Choice, she gives Warfather Spike Lee movies.
Oh, yeah. Smart move.
Very smart move. I think Spike Lee is a diverse filmmaker, but if you like his films, you will know his films.
Yeah. Which apparently Warfather didn't, because he guessed Old Boy as his Oscar win, and I'm like, maybe Golden Raspberry.
Well, the original Old Boy isn't bad.
No, the original, yes, but the Spike Lee version?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you get in your head. You get in your head, and I was conflating the two, and I was like, for whatever reason, unrelated to anything, I was like, Spike Lee. Yeah, he did both. And I'm like, then I said it, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense at all.
No.
One of them's a Korean film.
Yeah, does he have a side career we don't know anything about?
I maybe he does. You know what? I'm not I would not have done well. I knew the Black Klansman question, and it was funny.
Yeah,
getting to see Old Boy come back, guesses it right at the beginning, and then it's the answer to his final question.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was pretty good. He's like, "Oh, Old Boy." It's like, jeez.
But Janine's able to pick up that Black Klansman steal, not the toughest. And then one more steal, I believe. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was either. But it was definitely a smart strategy.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm a broken record now, because I've talked about this in a couple of the last shows I've been on. But being able to show such a diverse range of strengths is so important, because Spike Lee and Audrey Hepburn could not be further apart on the great wheel of cinema.
Yeah, one's as white as it gets, and the other is one of the predominant African American filmmakers of any time, really.
Well, that not only that, but just like the subject matter and the style of filmmaking, and even the eras are just so incredibly different that I think this is something that competitors can look for next season. Even though I hope we see Janine again. You know what? He's busy. We probably aren't going to see a lot of him next season. So why not one match? Yeah, Janine versus Makuga. Let's make it happen.
That would be a fun one.
We haven't got any Makuga since the draft.
Yeah, and you know what? We have only a few more months before we can get Makuga, before he's kind of taking all this shit's taking a back seat when little baby Makoogs joins us.
A little wild baby.
Yeah, yeah, boy.
So I'd love to see that. Elliot Dewberry, another person who I'm like, maybe throw her up again, because he was a really good player back in the day. We forget sometimes that he dragged Ricky, probably the worst Schmoedown player of all time, to a number one contenders match.
Yeah, he did. He's right up there with Humberto Gonzalez for worst of all time, isn't he?
All right. I don't put a lot of stock in how bad Humberto was.
He fucking gave Snyder the answer.
Well, no, there was a lot of people back then who really were just coming in and not. I'm talking people who have multiple matches.
Okay, fair enough.
Seriously. But yeah, that's what I'd like. That's why I like. I think Janine should play one of the Janine should play both of the Wildberries handicap match.
Hey,
you know what?
It's been a while since we had one of those.
Yeah, since Rachel Cushing.
Yeah, exactly. I think she's the only one to do it.
She is.
Yeah.
Unless you count every match that
Elliot.
Elliott did on Team ETC and Machinima. And I was a fan of theirs. They're the ones who got me into the league, so I can say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I reserve judgment.
Any final thoughts on this match before we get to the main course?
No, it was a good match, a highly entertaining match. I know we're going to see both of these competitors back. And you know what? Janine, I hope she stays with Sam. I really do.
Me too. I really like Janine's energy. And I think a lot of managers, will look at Janine and say, she's a big name. She's got a lot of personality, but she's 4-6. She's nowhere near a title. So I don't think she will be, if Sam doesn't sign her, I think she'll be a person that Sam can pick back up in the draft.
Oh, easily, yeah.
He should.
Yeah, easily. Because if I'm not mistaken, they're allowed to keep 3 players. So I could see him keeping Guy, Erwin, and her.
Well, they're allowed to sign 3 players. So Sam could go after like a Ben Bateman or he could go after the Founding Fathers.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be something.
3 of the most memorable camps.
Well, Roka said he would not be on a faction with Erwin, so I guess you'd have to drop Erwin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said that on backstage.
Nah, damn, that's unfortunate.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Soda, we have a main event. We're running back probably my second favorite match of the whole year with Ben Bateman, Dan Murrell 2. Have we ever had a rematch for a title so quickly?
No.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't. You see, here's the thing. I mean, you could argue that the triple threat between Riley, Makuga, and Murrell was fast because that did happen in the same year, but that isn't a direct rematch. What? What'd I say?
Who was in that triple threat again, Soda?
Riley. Oh, fuck. Riley, Murrell, and Roka.
Roka and Makuga, same guy, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm sorry. Sorry, John. Forgive me. But you know what I mean, because I know that happened pretty quickly because you had the Murrell Roka match was just regular taping, and then you had at the Collision the triple threat. So it was only a couple months. Would you consider that a rematch?
Yeah, and now that I'm thinking about it, there's actually a lot of instances where this happens, like with top 10 losing to the Patriots, beating the Schmoes, playing the Patriots again.
Yeah.
Above the line, losing to the Patriots, beating Modoc.
And then beating Patriots and then defending against Patriots.
So I guess it just...
And then we have like Cushing and Kalinowski pretty quickly last year too.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Fuck me. It happens all the time. But rarely when we see these matches, this was the best match of the year?
Easy. Better than the first one, and the first one was amazing.
Yeah. I would go. I think I would say I still prefer the live event. I think I still prefer Atlanta personally
because of the crowd advantage.
No, I think it's just a matter of. I don't know. It's just one of those like you can't put your finger on it things. But when I sit down and I think of both of them. Both of the matches, I'm like, Atlanta is going to stick with me for years. It's going to be up there with like Rachel and Mike playing at the first ever Throwdown.
Yeah.
I think for like great best matches of all time. This one I think is going to live in that like this was an amazing match, but it's not going to be one I think about a lot.
Really? Okay, because I'm the opposite. I think it's the and here's my reason for it. I'm thinking it's the Godfather 2 to the Godfather. Like it is the sequel is better than the first because in Atlanta you had the live event, you had all that jazz, you had the drama with who's going to manage Merle and stuff. But with here, you also had the character work go in, because you could see what Bateman was doing throughout the match. You could tell he was getting frustrated with Gucci and whatnot. You had him with a 6-point lead. You had Dan's reaction at the very end was like, "I won," and you heard Mara in the background going, "What?" And then you had the, I'm just gonna add this in a little bit. You had the explosion at the end. You mix all that together, you get a perfect storm of a memorable angle. Like I referred to it earlier as the Mega Powers Explode, which was the Hulk Hogan Randy Savage blowout in 1988. And with that, you had the slow burn heading towards Savage turning heel, and that's what we got here with Bateman. So for me, it was the perfect event. It culminated, everything kicked off the way it was supposed to.
Oh, yeah, and I think maybe the way I'm talking about it makes it sound like I didn't love this match, but I did. I thought this was probably, like, in terms of title matches, like, this is definitely.
Oh, for sure.
And, like, it turns out Dan is just one of those guys who, no matter the match he's in, it's always gonna be a nail biter. It's been forever since we've seen a Dan Murrell just stomping. And I love that every time I'm on the edge of my seat. I don't know what's going to happen. And it went the same way in this match.
Yeah, I mean, what are the odds of that happening exact same way? Bateman leading going into the 5th round, Murrell coming back, forcing Bateman to go to the 5th round. Last time went to sudden death, yes. But I mean, like, who would have predicted that?
No, here's the thing. You can't. You can't predict what happens here. And it's insane when you look back at the match, like, round by round. Because there's just these momentum sways, if you will, where you see at the end of the first round, Bateman's up. Then it's all tied up in the second round. I know we'll come back and talk about specific things, but then Murrell misses that this betting round question, and Bateman bets it, and they have a huge divide. And then Bateman does what he does, and he does very well in the speed round. Dan does all right, but not better. And then just
he only missed 2 questions, and Bateman only missed 1.
I know. Hey,
yeah.
Turns out Dan just always going to miss 2 questions in the speed round.
Go figure.
But he passed on these ones, which was important. He didn't get the wrong answers. But then Dan, 6-point lead. And I'm like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way that this is going to go the other way. And I did the math in my head, and I'm like, okay, there's no chance of overtime. But then Dan hits 2, hits his 3 pretty easily. And then his 5, I'm like, I have no idea what this fucking movie is. I have no idea.
What was the question again? And it says I just finished the match.
Oh, it was the in what new releases, what 2019 film where you find the Le Mans gaming?
Oh,
I don't have.
Okay, yes, I could definitely see how that's a 5-pointer because it was more of a it was a movie that'll fall in the cult category. I actually knew that because I liked the movie, so I personally did find it that hard. Watch it, man. Samara Weaving is awesome, and it is a really fun movie. Anyways,
Similar to Dan in his post match, and we'll go to it.
Yeah.
I was also like, is it Knives Out? It's not Knives Out. That's a book company. Did they make games too? But that was my thought process. I had no idea. But then I'm like, all right, well, Bateman's got to hit his 2 and his 3, and he wins.
Yeah,
that's it.
So there's been some controversy about the 2 for Bateman with the Lucas Black. Now, here, well, no, I know. I've just been following on Twitter was what's been going on today. He said it was a 5-pointer. I'd say it's a 3-pointer at best. I can't. The thing is, it's giving so much. It's both a 2-pointer
which was the who's the lead in Tokyo Drift and reprises their role in Furious 7.
Now, if he just said as a cameo, you think he would have got there? Because he said he misheard it and he was trying to fish for Han.
Well, no, I think that was just. I don't think it was a misheard. I really do think it's just because Han, by definition, Han's not a lead in that movie. He is a supporting character.
Yeah, and he also does come back in 7. Spoilers.
Well, he's back.
8, sorry.
He doesn't. So you are all over the place. He's in 4, 5, 6. Dies in 7, not in 8. He's back.
He dies. He dies at the end of 6. He's not in 7.
Well, we see him die again.
Is it 9? Where's the fact the movie's at?
He's not in 9's not out yet.
Yeah. So he comes back in 8. He does come back in 8.
I just watched this movie literally yesterday, so he's not in it.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking the trailer for 9. Sorry.
I was like, me and my fiance just had our yearly Fast and Furious marathon. I know.
Okay. I won't argue with the producer, the one who has the ability to kick me out of the stream. Don't you dare.
I'll do it. Nah, I won't. But the fact that he says starring and it's not like recurring characters, like reprises his role in this movie. If you know that, if you can get to Han, then you'll know Han's in other movies.
Yeah.
Han's in the majority of the Fast movies. So I don't believe that. I think he just didn't know. I think he just didn't get to Lucas Black and I feel like it's a 2-pointer because it is just the lead of a movie in a predominant franchise, and Lucas Black in like mid 2000s. He's in a lot of different stuff as like the poor man's Taylor Kitsch. Okay. He's one of those guys that is just in a lot of stuff. So I believe that Ben should have known. And I believe Ben does know who he is, but it's a 2-pointer.
Okay, fair enough. I felt like it might have been a 3, but because I think it's one. Yeah, it's part of a big franchise, but when you think Fast and Furious, you don't think Lucas Black. You think more Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, The Rock, all those other guys, right? Because essentially he was in a one-off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. But
it could be either or, really.
Yeah.
It's not a 5-pointer, like Ben says.
No, God, no. It's not even. If it was in a 3, it would be similar to. I think it was in the Bibbs match last week, where it was what is Matthew McConaughey's character's name in Mud?
Mud.
It's like Mud, where it's like that's an easier 3-pointer, but it can be tricky.
Yeah.
But I think it's a 2-pointer. I think it's fine, and I have no issues with. With
me neither.
The question.
Me neither.
For the Ben's other, I was so worried for Ben when he was just saying Sweeney Todd, and they very quickly added in the Demon Barber of Fleet Street because I was like, Dan's gonna challenge that. Challenge that. Yeah, it's true. But then he just getting back to Ben, and then his 5-pointer, he cannot pull the horror film 1408, which sort of maybe another one you've seen. I have not.
I saw it the one time, and it's the only reason I was thinking about it because it was actually a question from this week also in one of the first 2 matches of the week. It was an answer.
It was in the Marisol McKee and Paulo Yama match. So
that's the only reason it was still in my mind because I saw it when it came out. It wasn't a memorable movie for me, but it's definitely one that, it's, a horror movie in a hotel room. There's not as much as you'd think about a guy fighting his demons.
It's true, but I gotta say, I really do like the parallel in difficulty of questions, because despite Ready or Not being a new release and Ben saying, if you're a critic, obviously you would know that one.
He's not wrong.
Both of these, no, you're not. But both of these questions were name the movie, and here is when they came out and some extraneous details about them.
Yeah.
So I think I think they're both really good fives, and this is the stuff I like to see. Nobody can say that Dan won this match because he got an easy 5-pointer. You can say it's easier, like you.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I'd say it was easier, but it's definitely worthy of a 5 because not that many people saw Ready or Not, which is a fucking shame.
Hey, I haven't seen either one of these movies.
I wouldn't watch 1408. I would definitely watch Ready or Not if you want to laugh.
Soda, I'm a big baby. I'm not going to watch anything scary except in Halloween.
Well, then watch it on Halloween.
Maybe. I'm going to watch Halloween
there,
obviously.
Yeah.
So I pretty much gave the cliff notes of the entire match. Is there any specific point in the match you really want to focus down in? Because there's a lot to get in here.
There is. The betting round where they were talking about what points to go with, and Gucci was saying one thing, Ben's like, no, I'm going to go the other way, and luckily it paid off for him. Because as we were talking on air, there was definitely a lot. Nobody really listened to Gucci except the one time.
No, it's interesting because both in round 2, both Dan and Ben are advised to spin again by Bobby Gucci, and both of them say, "I hear what you're saying. Take a hike." And then in the betting round, I really did like that they had different codes because I was worried that they were going to have the same codes and only we wouldn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I also liked that the codes were different than we've seen before, because we've seen Founding Fathers had days, months of the year. Merle had bronze, silver, and gold. And then we get to like cities.
Yeah. I was thinking sports franchises. Because Dan is a low-key sports football fan.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because there was Dallas and Denver and Miami, I think, were the ones that we heard.
Yeah.
And then Bateman having action movie stars. Is this a Busey situation? Is this a Keanu? Actually, they're just all Point Break people. Because it was
pretty much. Yeah, that's right. It was all Point Break because that is his favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, but the only time, getting back to nobody listens to Tom, Ben is like, I'm doing Swayze, and he's like, no man, you gotta do Keanu, and he's like, I'm doing Swayze, and then he's like, all right, you thinking Miami? And Dan's like, all right, yeah, let's do Miami. And Dan gets the question wrong.
So
one time someone listened.
I finally had the ability to do this, but every time I see Tom Dagnino, I always think he looks like this actor. If it'll pop up. Come on.
I have to add it.
This guy. Does he not? He played. This is fucking way out there. He played the Dream Child, the Nightmare on Elm Street 5 Dream Child. I don't know. Every time I see Dagnino, I'm like, for some reason, he looks like the Demon Child in Nightmare 5. And now I can finally. You know what? Watch those movies because they're not that scary. They're more stupid fun.
No, I've seen them all.
Okay. Then you're just a wuss.
I am. I'm a big baby. My, fiance, she's the brave one in the house when it comes to movies.
Ah, gotcha.
I'm scared. I killed the spider. She watches the scary movies. Anyway.
Balance.
Yeah. But I really, it's interesting that the one time someone listened to Dagnino is the one time that it didn't go their way.
Yeah.
Because both of them do very well in their round 2 categories. Didn't listen to Dagnino.
Mm-hmm.
Ben bets 3 when I think Tom was advising him to bet 1. And because Hitchcock obviously more in Dan's wheelhouse.
Yep.
And he's like, no, I'm betting 3. And that works out for him. So it's interesting to see the effect or lack thereof a manager can have.
Pretty much. It was really weird seeing Dagnino do both this time.
Now, what did you think of that? Because we've only had 2 instances of a manager having to manage both competitors. We saw it with Shannon, and now we're seeing it with Dagnino. How do you think? Obviously, Shannon was a little bit different of a situation because she's always been close. She has worked with both of Chance and Mike extensively. Because these guys are champions, he doesn't play with them as often. How do you think Dagnino did managing both of them?
I think he did adequately enough. Really, there's nothing more he could have done. Because it's got to be really hard managing 2 players in a title match. It really does.
Yeah, and I think, and I echo what Christian said on the rundown, despite Tom and Ben having been together for 3 years now.
Has it been 3? No.
Yes, and this would be their 3rd season since Anarchy.
Yeah, 3rd season doesn't mean it's been 3 years, though. It's been 2.5 years.
Round up.
Okay, sorry, semantics. It's like the whole WrestleMania thing. They celebrate the 25th anniversary on the 24th anniversary. Come on, guys.
Well, it's like I'm 25, but I can also say I'm 4 decades old because I was born in 95.
That's true. That means I'm 5 decades old, and now I feel really old.
I think, but back to what I was saying, I echo what Christian said, where it really looked like Dan and Tom were in a lot more. They had a more easy communication that Ben and Tom did. And I think a lot of that was Ben knowing if I lose this match, I have to blow up at Tom. But it also was a lot of, I think, a little bit of legacy building, and I don't need Tom. I can do this on my own. Yeah. But with Dan, he did very well.
Yeah, and that was very evident during the match. Like I don't know if I said it earlier in the show or if I said it off screen, where it's like you could tell that even though Bateman was playing his best, don't get me wrong, you can tell he was putting in the little character seeds for the inevitability if he did lose for the blow up. You could definitely tell that during the match.
Yeah, and this is the kind of character work I really like, which is the character work that does not interfere with the match.
Exactly, like the guy character work from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and he said on streams that like playing that crazy character definitely got in his head, and he's like, I should have done better in round 1, and I should have done better in round 2, but it was a little bit in my head. But this kind of stuff, I really enjoy, and I loved seeing it from Ben. Ben was a guy who I haven't always I ebb and flow with, whether I'm not a fan of Ben's. But I'm sold. I'm all in on Ben Bateman and Dan Murrell for that matter.
For sure. And honestly, I hope Bateman turns heel because as good as he is as a face, don't get me wrong, he's a good face. He's an even better heel.
I'm
sorry. Okay, let me rephrase that. I like him as a face. He's not the best face. I love him as a face, personally. But he's hands down a better heel.
He was always a paper face at best. I think so. Yeah, like there was always those little you can't get into the sorry, you got the score wrong. Bibiani got that one. Oh, he didn't. Oh, okay. You can't say that stuff.
Okay.
And as evidence, he said the exact same thing to Clark Wolf when she scored, or when she missed when the two of them played seasons ago.
Better recall than me, that's for sure.
I really like this, and we've kind of just been jumping around, which is what I like about these shows. You've all seen the matches. I thought it was really interesting after seeing Dan ace Hitchcock, or not ace Hitchcock, because he has that one miss, which was who's been in the most Hitchcock films. And in my head, I'm like, it's Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah,
if
me
it's
too.
not Jimmy Stewart. It
was like Lewis. Yeah, it was like Lewis E. Carroll, and Dan's like, "Oh, really?
oh, interesting. Oh, yeah,
yeah." I love that.
Yeah, and I love Mark saying both of those were in our multiple choice, and I'm like, oh, you tricky question writers, because I would have checked to multiple choice, being like, okay, if it's not Jimmy Stewart, it's Cary Grant,
yeah,
and hope that one of them wasn't in the multiple choice.
Now, but you could get really nitpicky and say that actually it's Hitchcock, because he's in the background of all of his movies as an actor. But I mean, I understand that's not what you're looking for.
No, you're not looking for that. And I think it was as a starring in like a lead role or something like that.
Oh, okay. I just might have missed that part, but yeah.
I don't have, that is the one thing I like about when they put the throwdowns on YouTube afterwards. I always go back just to like make sure I read the questions correctly.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, that is something that's missing.
Well, you just can't do that in a live setting. Like, would be extremely complicated to do live.
Yeah, you're not
and
wrong.
The Schmoedown's growing, but it's just not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you've been wanting to talk about this since the show started. And I think we've done a pretty good job talking about the title match here. But the real story coming out of this title match is not the match itself. Yeah. It's the post-match interview.
Yeah, the Finstock exchange explode.
It was not at all how I saw this going, because you go to Dan first, and he's just in shock that he won.
Yeah, but let's just not forget something. Ben turned his camera off. He completely left.
Yeah. And I was like, he's clearly emotional right now. That's okay. We're going to be fine. And then when Christian's like, we don't usually do this, but because of the respect you guys have for each other.
Yeah.
And because we just saw it with Corruption versus Founding Fathers, I was like, oh, this is going to be a very cordial, kumbaya, the three amigos on stage just talking about how much they love each other.
It started off as.
It did, but then what happened, Soda?
And then, they cut to Ben, and he told Gucci to shut his mouth, and he's done talking. Nobody was there for him except the Barbarian. Didn't hear from Roca. Didn't hear from Riley, which I was surprised to hear him say. He said he's done with the exchange. He's done with the Schmoedown, and that's it. And he left. And it was just like, okay, we're going to see a heel Bateman here.
We're going to see a Bateman who is motivated. And coming into this week, I think of a lot of us were thinking the winner of this match is really the future of the exchange, because there's no way, like, you can't sign Roca Merle Bateman, because then Bateman's going to be like, well, now I don't have a teammate. And it's so tough to give up a champion, right? So it was really, I thought this was going to be the matter of who it was. And I thought we would see a much more clean break, but I love that this is where we went with him just saying, I'm done. I don't want to talk to Gucci anymore. I will never. And then hearing Christian was going around to different shows, and he was playing the phone call from the match from afterwards. He called Ben and he recorded it, saying, I will never play with Tom Dagnino, Bobby Gucci, whatever his name is, again. But I thought it was interesting when Christian said, well, can you announce then that you will not be on the exchange next year? And he's like, I don't want to make any declarative statements. I'm like, well, you
just did.
Yeah.
Were you? So you were surprised it went down like this? Because see, I would honestly wouldn't have expected Bateman to be the one, and because you look at it on paper, him and Gucci fit really too.
They've been together for 3 seasons now.
Hey! Don't get snippy like that. But yeah, honestly, everyone thought it was going to be Roca that did it, And if it was going to happen, I would have thought it would have happened in the free agency period because, like you said, you can only sign the 3. But to have it like this is so much better.
Yeah, I was expecting that this would be the storyline coming out of Spectacular. That Dan retains the belt and Bateman's going on a Twitter spree, talking about stuff. But leading up to that, he would be supportive of the other members of the exchange.
Yeah.
It's interesting also, you're right, to hear that no word from Mark Riley, and it was just the Barbarian. I think it'll be interesting. Barbarian has a match coming up. Depending on when that was taped, it'll be interesting if this gets referenced at all. And what is Barbarian's relationship to Dagnino like now?
Yeah, when is his match? Is it this week or is it next week?
I think it's the week after.
Okay, because here's what
this comes out. This is going to come out on Friday, so his match might have happened. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
So, putting on my producer's hat, his match does. Okay, my wrestling producer's hat. Sorry, my promoter's hat. So, if this match does come out after Throwdown airs for everybody, I could, and because we know the tournament was pre-taped, I could see Christian doing 2 post-match interviews. One where everything's copacetic, and one where the possibility of the Barbarian leaving. Because we know that, he has always, more than one scenario to play out and whatever. And since they are pre-taped, I can envision him as the promoter doing that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I have Bibbs in that match. But if Barbarian wins, I think we'll definitely see fallout of it in the 3rd round of the tournament. But hearing only person who's been there for me is the Barbarian. Do you think that this is signaling that Bateman, he's a guy who, if he's saying he's not going to be in the draft. You are not going to be able to draft him.
No.
Is it signaling, though, he is going to go to other managers and say, yeah, if you want me, though, I'm playing with the Barbarian next year, and you're going to sign him as well?
Mm-hmm. It is possible because I could definitely see them doing, I don't want to say like the Master Lackey sort of thing, but definitely an odd pairing of sorts. I can definitely seeing that. Like Bateman's like, the Dr. Evil and Barbarian is like his number 2.
You, not Batman 89. You're my number one.
Number 1. God. Bateman could do it.
He could do it. That would be an interesting take. That would be an interesting take. I think that's definitely.
You know what would be even more interesting? This is just way out there. Bateman's mind fractured and he goes to be like the Joker. The supervillain to the Finstock Exchange. Could you imagine?
I think that this will be the storyline. This will be the main storyline of next season.
Well, fuck yeah.
And I think it'll be what Harloff wanted Andrew Guy versus RMB to be this season. But because Guy doesn't play a lot and COVID
and RMB's out.
And RMB's out, I think next season we will see Ben Bateman every match he plays, he is calling out. He's like, I'm coming for Bobby Gucci every time.
Yeah, Bateman versus the Exchange. I doubt. Yeah, I'm with you. That's the thing for next year, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Now, I think an interesting thing. We don't have a lot of time left, but assuming what I just said is actually, let's just take the Barbarian out of it. Who do you think Bateman wants? Because he's a guy who I think kind of gets to choose who picks him up.
So if we're going to go Hill Bateman, Dungeon.
See, I was going to say Dungeon as well.
Yeah, because that would be the perfect way to stick it to Dagnino.
I agree. I think Kaiser is a guy who's very similar in a lot of ways to Dagnino.
Yeah, he's what Dagnino used to be.
Yeah, and me and Lou kind of talked about this on our one of the shows we did last week, where I think Kaiser's another guy who really needs to be in studio to be most effective, similar to Dagnino.
Mm-hmm.
But I think having Smets and Bateman in the same faction, deadly. Those two are some of the best studiers ever.
And think about this. Think about this. It's been rumored that Smets is going into the singles division. Smets and Bateman as a team.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. Like, I really do think that Bateman is going to say, you're taking the Barbarian as well, which I think will put a lot of managers into compromising situations.
Yeah.
Where I think that means he doesn't go with Winston and he doesn't go with Corruption. But I think the Dungeon is someone who they learned that they need strong players. They need a strong base. They tried to moneyball it. And because of that, so a lot of us were thinking Kaiser's going to protect Smets because that's his boy. Parker.
He's going to protect Zipper.
And probably Zipper because of the bond that they've had and the loyalty. But I think that there's a chance that Zipper falls into that both Parker and Zipper end up falling into the draft for Kaiser. And Zipper's a guy who I think you can pick up in the first round.
Yeah, but why do you think Parker would fall into the draft?
I don't think he would fall into the draft. I think if Barbarian and Bateman are gone, I think, because I don't think, with the exception of Corruption, you should be signing in free agency Star Wars players.
Yeah,
I think the exchange will let Andrew DeMolanta slip to the draft, and they will go get Parker.
Okay,
I think that would be I think that would be best for them, especially because I don't think Dan has any interest in being a 3-league player. I think he wants to be a 2-league at a time guy. Yeah. Now, he said very clearly, I'm going into Inner Geekdom.
Yeah, but then shit happened and he becomes champ again.
Well, he said that, yeah. I think, though, that if he can say, hey, Christian, I am champ, because I don't think he's losing this singles belt. I'm the singles champion. I have a great team here. I don't want to be a fighting champion. I want to play for singles belt a little less frequently so I can focus on Inner Geekdom. I think with this, with his record, I think he can kind of dictate those terms. So I would not be surprised if something like that happens.
Fair enough. There's a lot of scenarios, man, especially born out of this, that are going to come into effect next year.
And it is, I feel like I say this every couple of weeks, it's an exciting time to be a Schmoedown fan. Any other thoughts about the match before we wrap it up?
No, other than, I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. I think this, when you take it into consideration, all the circumstances meshing together and working so well, this is hands down the match of the year. Now, if you're going on just bell to bell, the first one. But like I said, take everything into consideration. This is the match of the year.
Hey, man, this is definitely in my top 3 or top 5 of match of the year. This is definitely in my top 5. It's not my number 1. The Atlanta match isn't even my number 1, but there's great matches.
Oh yeah,
and it's exciting time to be a Schmoedown player. Soda, where can the people find you if they want to find you?
Okay, so Twitter and Instagram at soda_the_saxman. You can obviously find me here every week with you lovely gentlemen, breaking down the week in Schmoedown, occasionally on Northern Consultations. You can find me as one of the hosts of Get Sweaty over on the Media Sweaties Network, where we break down the week in movie news, sports news, and then we discuss our top 5 of what have you. Our upcoming top 5 is the top 5 trilogies, which is pretty damn tough because a lot of the movies like, hey, Indiana, no, that's a fourth one. Or hey, Toy, so no, there's a fourth one there too. So it's just like, but that's pretty much where you can find me.
Yeah, and you can find me. Don't even worry about my Twitter. Don't worry about that. Follow Schmoes of the North everywhere. Northern Schmo on Twitter. Schmoes of the North Facebook page, a Canadian run Schmoedown fan group on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of great stuff. Soda was mentioned in Northern Consultations. We just had rookie upset sensation Adam Collins on, and earlier this week we had.
I want to give my thoughts on that real quick. Wow, man! Like, who'd have saw that coming?
Who would have seen that coming? But we have a lot of other great guests coming down the pipe. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss a thing. And from all of us here at Schmoes of the North, have a good night.